family and I are making masks to donate, and I thought just some of the things I figured out as far as the production line and making things go fast I would share, just so people can make these things as fast as possible. I started by making my pattern cutout for tracing here. It's actually both parts. I punched a couple holes and then cut out slits, so as I'm tracing this, I'm tracing two parts at once. Now if you start with a nice square edge on the bottom and then make sure these lines are straight across as you're tracing these, you can cut these out in strips, lay them on top of each other, and cut a bunch out all at the same time, making that step go even faster. Nice pair of sharp scissors always helps too, but you could probably take this, go 3 wide or 4 wide, so you're tracing even more at a time, or make a big block or something. What I like to use when I'm cutting out the elastic is a round knife or something sharp like this, so that I can pull it off of the spool to the end and just hit it like that, instead of trying to move my hand over, hold that down, get the scissors under there. It makes it go a lot quicker for me, but like if my young one's doing this step, I just let her use the scissors. So here's another step that we figured out. Regardless if you're working by yourself or not, this can help so you're not fighting these things while you're trying to sew them through the sewing machine. You just put it right in the corner and clip it, and then do the same to this corner. Surprisingly, it holds out of the way pretty well when you're running these through your sewing machine. And if you have people helping you, this is another way, especially if you have one sewing machine, another way to keep that sewing machine as efficient as possible. If you're fighting with this while you're on that sewing machine, you're kind of using up that time. And it doesn't matter as much as if you're doing this by yourself, but I'm still doing this when I'm doing these by myself. Just kind of speeds the process up for me. It's like I said, you'll be fighting these as you're going through the sewing machine. If you got them clipped, and I'll show you that too as I'm sewing these, if you got them clipped, it runs through real easy. First step of sewing, if you're using a similar machine, this is a Cobra 26, it's a little bit overkill for the thinner stuff, so I dialed the tensions down quite a bit, and I have a 69 thread in there. This can do a lot thicker stuff, but see, I get into the corner, and I can see that little piece sticking out of the elastic. Stop a little bit short. First step in sewing here, just going around, I'm going to leave a spot open in the back or the bottom so that I can flip this right side out. But if you're using a similar machine like this is a Cobra 26, it's a little bit overkill. It's meant for thicker stuff. Just dial the tensions down significantly until you get it just right. If the material's really bunching up, dial the tensions down, maybe dial the pressure foot tension down a little bit. I don't know if that'll help. Oop. You can see I got a little bit of a discrepancy here. One piece was bigger, so I just try to go off of the smaller piece. If you have a little bit of error here and there, it's not going to matter. Just make sure you're getting enough of that seam allowance so they're not going to come apart. Make sure to hold the elastic in the corner. This is the bottom again. Here's where the stitches started. So I'm going to stop a little bit short, back stitch a little. So here's another station. Somebody can flip these inside out and put the clips on to put them folds in there. And again, if you have somebody that's just doing one step, even if you're doing it by yourself, just one step, the more you separate it down, the less you're grabbing tools, the less you're walking around in between steps, and the more inclined you are to find faster ways of doing it. The muscle memory builds up a lot faster if you just do the same thing over and over. So the distance from that edge to that edge is the distance of that first section, and then the fold is as thick as that line that shows on there. That just kind of helps me keep everything uniform. And then every fold, 2 more folds are going to be that distance of that line right there, that little section. So I'll go off the table a little bit. Then it lets me line it up, just pinch the little edges, get that set up just right. And one more. Like that. Make a pile of them and then go sew them all real quick. Alright, so here's the last step. We're going to do a reinforcement stitch around the perimeter, which will lock down all those folds as well. I like to start where the open end is and make sure the seam allowance is folded in there enough so it's straight and won't fray. And I'll start on the opposite side of it. Now if you have a sewing machine that's using just regular thread that breaks easy, you're going to want to go around the perimeter twice. It's not going to be strong enough otherwise. Now if you're using thread like this is like an upholstery thread. I can't break this with my hands. This is strong enough to just go around once, as long as I back stitch and lock everything in good. Now as I'm coming up to these folds, they may not want to go underneath the foot, so I'll stop with the needle down, just bring that foot up and back down, it grabs it. Then I'll come up to those stitches where I started and go past that double lock stitch before I lock those, so it's all overlapping across that point. There's your mask. By separating the process into different steps, you'll help build muscle memory better. If you're just repeating a certain process over and over, you get quicker at it, you build better muscle memory, and you may figure out more things, like I was showing earlier, more things that you could do to make things go quicker, maybe make a jig or something.